much. Right, I'm just going to grab my notes out my little folder here. So let's take a little note at the back. This is the gist of my speech. First up then, so yeah, but my name's Rich, guys, and well, first things first, check this out, PowerPoint presentation. This is the future of Best Man speeches. Also, do know that I've matched the slides to the couple's colours, so that just illustrates the sheer quality of service you get when you book me as your best man. So, still remember, I'm also available for christenings, birthday parties, and bar mitzvahs. I look forward to your call. Right, so first things first, then let's talk about Tony and Lindsey, or the new Mr. and Mrs. Smith. or actually, as I like to think of them, Walthamstowe's answer to Posh and Becks. They're two guys that I've known for a very long time. I lived with Tony in Cardiff for a number of years, and well, I grew up just around the corner from Lindsey back in Bishop Stortford, and as we've already established, I got these guys together. So, as Tony said, I put them in touch when they were looking for a house in London, and I knew they'd get on, but I couldn't predict just how well they would. So I guess Mr. and Mrs. Conan, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, if you do need to blame anybody for today, it's me, isn't it? Just please don't ask me to have health expenses. So it's an absolute privilege to be part of today. So two of my bestest buddies finally tying the knot, and I have to back up Mike and Tone and said that the bridesmaids, well, they look magnificent. Nobody comes close to our Linz, who looks spectacular. And then there's Tony. So these days then, guys, you probably all know Tony to be a practical, dependable, well-organised and capable gentleman. Well, I knew him long before he was any of these things. Before he was even close to being any of these things. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the younger, more ridiculous Tony Owen. Step.
It's because the mouse has moved up.
Right, we're in. Okay, so first up, I'm going to take you back a good few years now, back to Tony's 22nd birthday. And we were out in Tony's old stomping ground of Southampton. We were enjoying a night on the tiles when we decided to spice things up a bit by buying Tony a pint. However, you can tell just by the look of this picture. Oh, do you mind? Yeah, that's great. Just by the look on, well, you can tell by the look on Ross's face in this photo, that was not an ordinary pint. That was, ladies and gentlemen, that was a top shelf. So that was one shot of every spirit they had. Tony, like a good little boy, did drink it up, and the after effects were, well, should we say, predictable. Tony was obscenely drunk, and as we meandered our way home through the streets of Southampton, Tony tripped. And I'm sure you guys are aware, sometimes you stumble and you sort of do this strange thing where you wave your arms around while you're trying to regain your balance. You know the sort of, like that. You sort of look like all your limbs flailing around. You look like doing a crazy dance, like a drunk uncle at a wedding. No offence to any drunk uncles in the room. Well, Tony was doing this crazy dance, but not for the normal couple of metres. No, Tony's drunken momentum kept him going right from one side of the road all the way out to the other. He would have kept going hadn't it been for the fact that he'd slammed into the side of a workman's barrier and fell headfirst into a trench. That's amazing. This is the sort of pal I am. Did I rush to Tony's aid? No. I put my hand in the pocket and grabbed the camera. After I wiped away the tears. Right, next up I'm going to take you back even further. So this is back to our first year in Cardiff University. It was our summer ball. And you can imagine, we were a bunch of hot, young, lusty bachelors. We were very keen on climbing ourselves up to show those girlies, those Cardiff girls, just how eligible we really were. So basically, we popped on our best suits, and well, let's take a look at the lads wearing their awesome suits. So the slides sliding across, you can see here. Just check out some of these short suits. So there's Andrew, James, Here's Tony with another failed attempt to look like James Bond. So over the years, Tony's had a good few nicknames, and so over the next set of slides, I'm going to introduce you to just a few of them. As everyone in the room is well aware, Tony and Lindsey are adventuring to Africa for an amazing honeymoon together. In fact, I think between us, we pretty much paid for it, actually. So, a few years back, Tony spent a short amount of time out in South Africa and got completely wrapped up in culture and traditions. So for months following the holiday, Tony could be spotted at parties and festivals wearing the full traditional African attire. So you guys might be aware of the band, like the Boys Choir from South Africa, Lady Smith Black Ambassador, or ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Tony Smith. Alright, so next up, this is another very old school photo. So Andy, Dan and myself put in some pretty bizarre gurns and grimaces, but nobody's face looks more unusual than Tony's. So let's take a closer look at that. Can you hold on 2 seconds? Anyway, right guys, besides. Right, so it was this photo, believe it or not, that spawned one of Tony's most enduring nicknames. At the moment that we saw this photo, back in the early noughties, we could only think of one thing. Wrong way, mate.
Free!
Yes, so this created the nickname Turtlehead Tony, which has been fixed. It's come from the giraffe and ever since, hasn't it, Turtlehead? Instead, guys, if you're wondering what that looked like halfway between that morph, I can actually show you. This is also my wedding gift to you. It's a little glimpse into the future. Incidentally, Tony had many other nicknames, including Thrifty Tony. So called because he's very fond of a bargain. In fact, so one night we were dancing in a nightclub in Cardiff, and the DJ asked the crowd if anybody wanted one of those lame, free promotional CDs. Tony's little face lit up, waving his arms like, pick me, pick me! And the DJ clocked him, and sure enough, whizzed the CD across the crowd towards Tony. The CD then promptly hit Tony square in the face and knocked out his 2 front teeth. And Thrifty Tony was born. Other nicknames included Sleazy Tony, the Blockade, and my personal favourite, Pooshu. In the interest of public decency, I won't elaborate on these just now. However, if you buy me a pint later on, I may well spill the beans, definitely. Okay, so next up, I'm going to introduce you to the greatest... my favourite photo of all time. It's cheesier than a £10 cheddar, and it just fills my heart up whenever I look at this photo. As well as just enjoying it for its aesthetic reasons, I've noticed something very special about this photo. Okay, so let's zoom in on the main man. Okay, so we've established that Tony looks quite a lot like a turtle. Let's be honest. But this photo reveals another lookalike, so let's have a look at that.
Lindsey, is it?
Star of Peep Show and General TV Nerd.
Oh, can you grab that a second? We'll quickly grab the phone.
Okay, so if we click on, and, I'd like to say, Oh, guys, hang on. Who slipped this photo? Who slipped this slide in there, please? That is bang out of order. Thanks. That's the only pop joke in the whole school. Right, so I know it's not traditional for the best man to attack the bride on her wedding. As I mentioned earlier on, I've known Lindsey actually for longer than I've known Tony, so I feel compelled to turn my sights onto her for all. So me and Linz met back in the long hot summer of '94 at a disco in our local Christian centre. We were respected friends, drinking ties and having a bit of a boogie, but then the DJ slowed down the tempo and played a soppy song. To my utter joy, I saw Lindsey, who I didn't yet know, cutting across the crowd to ask me for a dance. I thought, ka-ching, my luck has come in here. But I thought, keep it cool, don't push your luck just yet. Just wait for the inevitable second song before busting into any of my legendary moves. So half an hour later, sure enough, the next slow song arrived, and I clocked Lindsey once again heading towards me. I said to myself, keep cool now, Rich, keep cool. So I sort of turned to my friends, try and all look nonchalant, and as Lindsey tapped me on the shoulder, I excitedly turned towards her and she said, "Hey Rich, it's my friend over there that actually likes you, will you go and dance with her instead?" Indeed, so sure enough I did. I felt sorry and deflated and I went and danced with Lindsey's big old buck-tooth friend. I was gutted, but obviously I soon got over it. Me and Lindsey quickly became best buddies. It's weird, she's bright, she's bold, she's beautiful, but what I think makes Lindsey an absolute joy to be around is her amazing sense of humour. She will purposely put herself in the most ridiculous situations for the entertainment of her players. And for that reason, Lindsey, I dubbed thee Sir Linsalot, the unembarrassable. So some of the photos largely supported by the grills. Lindsey's group of best buddies over there. Illustrate exactly this point. Lindsey is more fun than a barrel full of monkeys. And amazingly, I don't know if you guys will believe this or not, but actually once upon a time Lindsey was incredibly naive. And this is probably testament to the great upbringing by Mike and Pat there. But I've got a couple of examples of this. So firstly, on a grills trip to Amsterdam, the girls mentioned that they could smell hash. And Lindsey promptly replied, "Cool, I love hash browns." Another good example of this was when Lindsey came to my house and I left Lindsey in the hallway while I went and made a couple of drinks in the kitchen. Lindsey shouted, "Come quick, Rich, come and look, your dog's hugging my leg." Aren't capable of hugging, but they're very capable of loving. So next up, I've got this. Lindsey's face. No, sorry to bring this back into the public eye. So it was another one was from Lindsey's. Was it your 14th birthday, Lindsey? 14th birthday. Me and Matt Dale, he's over there, so I'll give us a wave. Me and Matt Dale made Lindsey a cake, which has since become infamous, on account of our massive error of judgment. So the cake was shaped like a giant pair of orange pants with a rather obvious bulge. So it was Lindsey's special day. Myself and Matt popped a little candle in the summit of the bulge and nailed it to Linz. Of course, we hadn't factored in the fact that Lindsey's dad Mike would be there, looking over a shot with rage in his eyes, flames popping out the side of his head. I literally thought he was going to eat us. Unfortunately, Mike seems to have forgiven us, and against all odds, me and Linz remained good buddies. Really short message from one of Lindsey's oldest and bestest buddies, Kim, who sadly can't make it to today. So she said, Ching? Does that make sense? Yeah? So Ching, I cannot believe that I'm not there sharing it with you and Tony's big day. She spelled Tony with an I at the end, Tony. I know that you and Mr. Smith will be super troopers together for the rest of your days. With trust, love and happiness, Kim. I think that's really ace. So I guess, basically, hopefully Linz will understand that I haven't told these stories because I want to embarrass her. I really haven't. I've told them out of nothing but fondness and love, and I really mean it. I truly believe the world would be a very boring place without our Linz. But then again, I can't really imagine a world filled with Lindseys. I guess it's pretty scary, but then again, I bet Tony wouldn't mind sailing his little love boat across that ocean. Alright, so before I wrap up, I think it's only fair that I set my sights back on the Tonmeister. I've got one last story to tell, and it is actually my very favourite story of all time. I really do. So it was our last night of a boys' holiday to the Greek island of Kos. Tony had had a little too much to drink and went home to sleep it off. He said, there's a theme building here, isn't there? Tony can't handle his drink. The rest of the lads carried on drinking, and for one reason or another, our friend Party Marty took off all his clothes. So Martin obviously enjoyed the liberating feeling of the brisk sea breeze against his nudie body and decided to walk home au naturel through the streets of Greece. On the way home, this story gets more and more surreal as it goes. On the way home, Martin found the biggest frog you've ever seen. This thing was incredible, and Tony will back me up this. It was literally the size of a football. It was amazing. And strangely, Martin, still naked, and the frog quickly became firm friends. It was like watching Dr. Dolittle. Martin scooped up the frog and walked back to the apartment with it under his arm. Still nude, don't forget that. When we got back there, we found Tone passed out on his bed. Seizing a great photo opportunity, Martin then put the frog onto Tone while he slept. Brilliantly, the frog then turned around and slowly marched his way up Tone's body, and then actually clambered up onto his face. So you can picture it, Tone lying in bed, enormous frog, let's never forget that. It was the same size as Tone's little head, actually. And it was clinging to his face, obscuring his view. We were laughing so hard by this point that we actually woke Tone from his drunken slumber, and he actually sat bolt upright in bed, still with his massive frog clinging to his face. And he actually looked around the room to see what was going on, and amazingly he decided everything's okay, and went back to sleep. And didn't even brush the frog. So, on a one last final soppier note, I did want to say what a privilege it has been to be part of this perfect day. Seeing two of my oldest and bestest friends join together in holy matrimony, it really is a joy beyond words. It's amazing. I still have to pinch myself. Like, I loved Lindsey and I loved Tony as individuals, and I love them even more as a couple. They both seem so sorted, so settled, so confident and so assured. I mean, these guys are just an absolute joy to be around. I'm sure everyone in this room will agree that bringing you guys together was one of the best things I've ever done. Absolutely. So on that note, guys, could I ask everyone to be upstanding for another toast? So everyone, to our favourite fun-sized couple, Tony and Lindsey.